Some of the mighty men of Israel, all of them wearing swords and experts in war, each with his sword at his thigh against terror by night. Now, would you say this is what young men are being pushed into by our culture? Would you say they go into school and they're told to be experts in war,
No,
people to fight,
No, I wouldn't say
masculine, rugged, strong?
No.
I think I agree. But is this more of a tragedy for men or for women? It's hard to say because it means a lot to a man to be able to live up to this role, but also women are out looking for where are these men?
Very Petersonian point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, ladies, do you really want your man to be the sort of soy jack representation, or do you want the guy who's carried in a chariot by 60 mighty men of war who leaps like a gazelle? And we all know the answer. You don't need any answer to that. Everyone knows that this is something you don't just fall into.
Yeah.
And also, one of the things that got me about this, it's like, okay, so these people are people who in some way think well of themselves, right? You can't have someone say these things about you if they're not true in some way. And so you must be displaying the actual virtue of it. Because this is one of the things, and I keep saying this about virtue, is that it's effervescent. You never have to display and tell someone about your own virtues. They spring out. But in order to cultivate these, you have to keep something of yourself back. You have to make sure that you respect yourself and treat yourself in a way that can be used to cultivate the virtue. Someone who abuses themselves with sort of drugs, alcohol, sugary foods, lack of exercise, playing video games all day. I'm criticizing my younger self now. This sort of person can't bring about this kind of state of affairs.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there is also a physical component to the way that the woman appreciates the man. Let's listen to a little of her talking about that. His cheeks are like beds of spices, mounds of sweet-smelling herbs. His lips are like lilies, dripping liquid myrrh. His arms are rods of gold, set with jewels. His body is polished ivory, bedecked with sapphires. His legs are alabaster columns set on bases of gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as cedars, and it goes on. So let's not go so extreme on the idea that men are only known through their acts as to say that there isn't a sense in which women also appreciate
the form
of man. I think we as a culture again focus on the beauty of the female, and in some ways I understand that. I also gravitate towards the beauty of the female.
Yeah.
But in a way, you see a lot of guys also trying to go in that direction and emulating a kind of limp-wristed male femininity, right? This kind of wearing makeup in a way that makes you look more feminine, and I think this passage is saying that actually, his arms are rods of gold, his legs are alabaster columns, right? There's an archetype of male physicality, which is like, basically I'm saying go to the gym and lift, right?
Yeah, but so it's for a reason. Like the woman's beauty is more like an ornament, something that she can bear and display for you to enjoy. But what she's talking about when she's talking about the man's beauty, it's all about function. The form and the function are very, very inextricably tied together.
Right.
And so she begins by, look, he can leap over these things. She's got alabaster columns for legs. Like, I mean, I'd love it if a woman said that about, oh, brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It is very much about his physicality, but that's not to say that women don't appreciate that or anything like that. And, everyone who knows anything about women will know that they do. So go and lift.
Well, but I mean, it's kind of impolite these days to talk about these things, but the way that you look, to some degree, speaks to your character. So
Absolutely.
if you see somebody who's got enormously out of, they're overweight,
Yes.
like significantly heavier than they ought to have been, that didn't happen by magic. they failed
my
to
fault.
control their appetite. But likewise, the physical nature of your body, even though we feel very disembodied these days, we spend all of our lives on computers and it's like a virtual environment. Do we even need the bodies? It's surely just a method to get me onto YouTube in the morning. I'm just this kind of amorphous meat sack. But no, our lives are still physical, even in 2022, right?
Yeah.
It does improve your existence if you have strength. It improves your existence if you are not suffering the ill effects of malnutrition.
And it improves your mental state as well. Honestly, ever since doing the keto diet and riding my bike to work every day, I just feel good. I just feel good in myself. And
I think it radiates out of you as well.
thank you.
Even somebody who never knew anything about you and met you, they can somehow sense aspects of your lifestyle. Right?
Well, this is what I was saying. Virtue is never in a position where it needs to be explained. It just radiates. It's effervescent. You can see it, and the way you look is a consequence of your lifestyle. Exactly as you're saying. You are right. It is impolite to say, but it's an eternal truth that's never going to go away. If you work hard and you are healthy and you are, doing the things that you ought to do, then everyone can see it. Your skin looks good. You've got a tan because you've been outside. You look strong. You've arms of gold, and
Right.
you can't fake these things.
Yeah.
These are authentic.
Yeah. It's not purely a social construct or societal. We, at a deep instinctive level, respect people who have bodies that reflect a strength of mind.
Yes, and that's an important point as well. Just before we go on, the strength of will to do the thing required that gives you, the big upper body or the trim waist or whatever it is. Like to get up and do the effort every day to get the result after that. Again, these things are only built after years of habit. Years of doing the right thing. And so, you can't fake it. There's no substitute for it. And people instinctively recognize it.
Who's going to go and have the difficult conversation with the guy who's causing trouble, in your village? It's the guy who's had the strength of character to go and lift in the gym.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the person, like if you're a woman and you're looking for who's going to raise my children right, who's going to discipline them with both patience and the right level of severity, it's the guy who's had the self-control to look after his diet. There's these funny connections, but I want to kind of reclaim that there is a moral connection to the way that we there are aspects of our lives which is not purely choice, right?
Yes.
It's not just arbitrary that some people take an interest in how they act as
It's no coincidence that the leading man of any action movie is not a Reddit neckbeard. It is just not a coincidence at all.
Hollywood just completely picks darts at the
Oh, it's just not the Reddit neckbeard this time. Maybe next time. No.
the weirdest thing.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.